I started looking at the fact that people's ears were flatter with their head, and then my head fucking grew into my ears and it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Do you know something interesting? My ears have changed. I think it was from rugby. I used to play.
You played rugby?
I played rugby.
Oh, wow.
Played
You're
second-
even more handsome now. Look at that.
Second row and flank. But rugby is a lot of
no
your
position.
head being squeezed between other men's asses.
Dude, man. Where do you sign up for rugby? Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Ruben Hardern, and welcome back to On Your Mental. This is episode number 2, and thank you all for joining. I first want to start off just by saying thank you to everybody who had a chance to check out the first episode. I'm very excited to have gotten this out there. I'm very excited for all the feedback that we got. A lot of really good stuff. Someone said get new pillows, so we got new pillows. So that's one thing that's kind of cool. But yeah, anything that you feel about this, if you know me personally, if you don't, if you want to leave a comment and just say your thoughts. I appreciate any and all feedback. Anyways, today we have a new episode, and today I have a new guest as well. So I have with me Joe. Joe is actually the roommate of Jesse, the last guest. So Jesse's also hiding here. Nobody needs to know that, but Jesse's hiding here. He's here with us again today.
He's in the closet.
He is in the closet, and he's never coming out. Maybe, though. You never know. Anyways, what I wanted to also say is we'll just maybe go over what the episode would be. I feel like that's a important thing to talk about. So today, the topic is going to be about insecurities. Today on Your Mental, we are talking about what men are insecure about, what concerns we have, just on a day-to-day basis, maybe looking sort of longer term, just broader as well. But yeah, we're going to get a little vulnerable today. Today's going to be the day. Today's the one. Not the last episode wasn't at all, but today we're getting vulnerable.
Ooh.
So yeah. But yeah, welcome, Joe. Happy to have you today.
Thank you for having me on. Honestly, I really appreciate that. It's, I understand the whole idea with setting something up like this. It's to have me on as your second guest. You know, it would have been cooler to be the first one.
Yeah,
but
hey, next time. Next time. We'll get it next time.
That's okay. I'll settle for number 2 for now.
Hey, what was it? Austin Powers isn't number 2. Like, he was always the best.
What?
Yeah, dude. Like, this is stupid already. But anyways, in Austin Powers, didn't number 2, like when they did the exams and Austin Powers was going to school and number 2 was there as well. Dr. Evil's number 2 was there. And wasn't he always like better than Austin Powers?
I don't know.
Have you not
I've
watched
never,
Austin Powers?
I have, but like it's one of those shows I watched growing up as a kid. I don't know what happened. I just know he had the car with the eject button on it.
Did he?
Yeah, that was his thing, right? He'd like hit that button and fly out of the top of his car.
I actually don't even know, dude.
Come on, man. Don't you watch? Did you watch Austin Powers?
I guess both of us didn't actually watch it. Anyways, what I wanted to just say about Joe is that I'm really happy having him on here. Not only because he's a cool guy on his own, but he actually helped a lot with the setup for this. He gave me a lot of tips about the microphone that I'm using, the audio interface, basically everything audio related came from Joe. Sound, everything. And it sounds okay. It sounds pretty good. So yeah, I'm really happy, and I'm so happy that you helped me do this. I would not have been able to do it without yourself.
You don't think so?
Jesse's help.
You don't think you would have been able to figure it out?
I feel like it would have taken me a lot longer.
Right.
And I feel like I would have had no idea where to start, and I may have rushed into it doing a half-assed job.
You probably would have bought some really shitty mics.
I 100%.
Like, I'll buy the $30
I was
Amazon
buy
mic.
A USB mic.
Oh no.
For 2 people.
Oh no. You know what's like the biggest no-no when it comes to microphones?
Is USB mics?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, especially using more than one.
Yeah. Apparently it can't do it. Like, it just doesn't read. Anyways, today we're talking about insecurities. So I'll start off with my first question for you just to kick things off here. And what I'd like to know is when you hear the phrase, be a man, a man, what does that mean to you?
You know what? For me, that means be mature.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily perceive that as be a man, act act masculine. I see that as, be a mature, don't be a boy, be a man, grow up, figure yourself out, figure out what you need to do as a person and act accordingly.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like right off the bat. I like that.
But I understand the whole idea how, people use that to corner people in and want them to act a very specific way. But I think that's just my personal, when my father used that with me growing up, it was more like, stop acting like a child and start growing up.
Right. And did you ever feel like that had any negative impact on you? Because not suggesting that it did at all, but did that always feel like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to be a man and I'm going to just look past this issue that I'm having right now as a boy?
You know what though? Like that, I don't know if that kind of thing works on children. Yeah. It's like, because a child doesn't know what it means to be mature. They're not mature yet. Man. So like, what the fuck am I going to do with the phrase be a man? What would have worked a lot better is giving me an idea of exactly what that means to be a man. Right.
And maybe just explaining that.
Yeah.
I find it funny because even like today, I still have run into be a man scenarios. Like maybe 2 weeks ago, I was at the gym and I was just looking for a weight in between another weight. I couldn't find it. And I go and I ask one of the attendants, I'm like, hey, this was here last week. I can't find it right now. And I didn't want to jump up to pound weightage. What's the word I'm looking for? I didn't want to jump up to things. I didn't want to go up too much in weight anyways.
Not strong enough yet.
That's what it was. And I genuinely, I didn't want to injure myself. I didn't want to like push it too far or anything like that. I wanted to just try a higher weight than I did last week, but not 2 times. Anyways, after looking around for a minute, the guy goes, oh, I can't find it. Guess you got to man up. And you got to do it. I was like, I guess I got to be strong today. Like shit.
Yeah, well, as an RMT, I deal with people who do that all the time.
Yeah, it's ego lifting too in that position.
Ego lifting, that's the biggest thing, and that's huge. I think men tend to, especially when it comes to the gym, that when I was like in high school doing kind of bodybuilding style workouts, it was all ego lifting. Yeah. That's all it was the number on the weight. That's the only thing that mattered. How heavy can you lift?
Yeah. If I can do that and that guy can only do 5 pounds less, I'm winning. Like, I'm on top. Yeah, man. But my point of that is that I still see the be a man mentality even today as a man, and so I'm still told as a man to be a man and to man up. And so I just find it kind of funny.
Well, what does man up mean to you?
Yeah, so like man up and being a man to me, that's I don't know. I've always associated it with like being like shit, like good with your hands, like I don't know, like stuff like that. To me, when someone says like be a man or man up, I'm like, what, am I not like masculine enough? Is my beard not thick enough today? Like fuck, do I not have my chest hair coming through my shirt? Like shit like that. Like I don't know.
I usually have chest hair coming through my shirt.
Yeah, it's nice too, by the way. It's really, if people could see my angle, it's peeking. And it's
no, but
nice.
Like actually, if I have a shirt that's too thin, I will like see hair.
I've seen it come through too, dude. It's a real thing. Yeah. It's a real thing. It just pops out. Yeah, man. Even Anyways, I'm not gonna get in my body hair right now, but like I've had like poke through like the sleeves and shit. Like that's a real thing. Yeah. And I hate it when I see it. I'm like, fuck, what if someone saw this? Like I'm talking to them the whole time and there's like a little hair like
blowing
just
in the
through
wind.
My shirt. Yeah. It's like fucking Superman hair just busting through. Yeah. Yeah, to me, I think being a man, it comes down to what I grew up with understanding a man was. And for me, it's a different perspective. I love how you talked about what your father said to you. For me, I don't have a dad. I grew up without a dad. And so that side of like developing as a boy into a man, I never had that perspective.
That's tough.
It can be. I feel like I've done okay. I feel like I've come out all right at the end of it.
Yeah. And not to say that you can't, but as children, we look up to our parents, we look up to our mom, we look up to our father as these figures that we, are ideals and things we can learn from, right? Like our parents are our main source of just kind of learning about the world. Yeah. And when you don't have one of them, that can be very difficult. Like fatherless households is one of the largest, indicators of crime and violence and that kind of thing. So it can go very poorly, but you've done all right, other than like hitting all your friends all the time.
Yeah. I think it's, I think I was lucky in the case where I had father figures in my life too. I know growing up, my mom had a close friend, Brad, name doesn't matter, but anyways, I had a close friend, Brad, and I saw him as a father figure just because he was like around the same age as my mom and I would see him often enough. Right. And so to me, like I learned things about him. He was a gay man and I learned things about being a man from just being around him. He was always a really strong guy. He always carried himself well, presented himself well. And so I looked up to him in a lot of ways too. And I think I looked up to my uncle in some ways as well. My uncle Ian, because he was always he grew up as he worked as a contractor. That was his career. He had his own business as a contractor, and did a whole bunch of repair work on houses.
That's a man's man right there.
That's a man's man. And that's, I think, where my stereotype or my idea of what being a man comes from, is like, I've seen that kind of thing growing up. And so to me, it's like, oh shit, like I got to be good with my hands if I'm going to be a man. Like I got to be able to build shit. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Can you build shit?
No, no, not at all.
Well, you're a failure of being a
man.
That's
like, seriously, man. And like, I feel like that sometimes. Yeah, I don't know, dude. And it's funny. I know that is not at all what it means to be a man, because it's funny now. My uncle, the guy who I looked up to, he'll come to me for shit when it's like about like fixing his phone or something like that, or like a technical question, because I know my way around that stuff. He'll come to me for that. Right. So I've learned that you get your own value. You're going to be good at your own things, and you're going to find your own security in your manhood and masculinity.
Yeah. It's something you have to figure out for yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think obviously we're heavily influenced by our parents and the figures around us, but ultimately, you know, you aren't your parents. You are a different person. In fact, you're a combination of your parents, likely more than anything. So, And that's where I really like kind of the way I perceive be a man, where it's to be mature. And what that means is there's a lot of ways you can define that, but I think it's to just take responsibility and understand that if you want your life and the lives of those around you to be as good as possible, you have to take responsibility for that. You have to be the one in charge who is going to do that. And it's not to say that the other people in your lives or your partner or a woman can't do that, but you cannot rely on the other people around you. You have to do it yourself if you want it to be done properly.
At the end of the day, it's on you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Would you say you look up to your dad?
In some ways, yes. But, you know, my dad, he had his own struggles growing up, struggled a lot with alcoholism. So, you know, he was present, but at the same time, not. And if anybody listening has had an alcoholic parent, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I mean, imagine having a friend who's just wasted all the time. It's like you're not really hanging out with them. It might be like they might do goofy shit or whatever, but you can't, like, it's very difficult to connect.
Yeah.
And it's even more difficult to use that as a role model, because I don't want to be that.
Right.
And yeah, it's something that I've had to deal with a lot growing up, actually, is you know, just figuring that out, how I'm going to navigate myself so that doesn't happen to me, because it's so common for addictions and any type of, you know, negative way of living to be passed on from a parent to a child. So that's something that I am constantly thinking about and influences my decisions almost on a daily basis. Like, how am I going to, you know, kind of change that? Because my dad's father was an alcoholic as well. I don't know about my great grandpa, but they're French Canadians, so more than likely all alcoholics. Right. And I'm here to break the cycle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good. That's good. So would you say it's something that you're just conscious of on a pretty like day-to-day basis then?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And I think what it comes down to is, you know, I mean, addiction is we could talk about what addiction is for 7 hours and barely scratch the surface. But I think, you know, a great way to kind of summarize it is, you know, it's you filling a void, and there's a problem in your life that is plaguing you, so you're escaping. It's an escape, right? Substance abuse, you're escaping your reality. And I try to live my life so I don't have to escape it, that I can bask in its glory and just kind of enjoy what I've made myself, and not have to get drunk or get high or do whatever to get out of my current situation. I can just be happy with the way I am and what I've done.
Yeah. If it's okay from sharing what I see, then like I see you as a really driven person around like physical health. You have a lot of passion for that. You're very committed to that. And then your own creative endeavors, working with Jesse, working on your own Project Ivy, which is his YouTube channel, by the way.
Check it out. I don't care. I'm not going to do that.
It's really cool. There's a really cool video on there about vitamin D use and how there's a correlation between using vitamin D supplementation and reducing the morbidity of COVID-19. So definitely check it out. It's a really cool video.
Morbidity
COVID-19 mortality rates.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to the idea is that, you know, it's one of the most correlative factors between the COVID fatality rate and the COVID fatality rate. It's like one of the highest factors that tells us why people die is usually it's a vitamin D deficiency. And I get into all the details as to why that is, and I get into all the sciencey stuff. Most people didn't understand it, but that's okay.
And you're very passionate about this stuff too.
Absolutely.
So I think, yeah, you've found a lot of passions that I guess keep you engaged and sort of focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and lets you not turn to a point of substance abuse or even thinking about that.
Yeah.
Like that wouldn't cross your mind. It would
Yeah.
seem. Well, that's great. That in a way, this ties to another question that I want to ask then. What are some of, if you don't mind sharing, the insecurities and things that you're just cautious of or aware of on a day-to-day basis for you?
Yeah, you know what? For me, it's not fulfilling my potential. So, I mean, as a young person and someone who has a lot of drive and a lot of very high ambitions, honestly, on a daily basis, I always ask myself, like, am I doing enough? Have I done enough today? I can have a 7-hour workday in the clinic where I treat 7 clients. I go home, I read, I do whatever, I do research, I do work.
And that's not enough.
And well, that's the thing is sometimes I'll still go to bed and I like, fuck, should I do more?
Right.
Like, can I fit in anything else? And yeah, that's a bit of an insecurity because I'm worried that 10, 20 years down the road, I'm going to be at a place where I'm going to wish I had done more at this stage in my life.
Right. Wow.
So that actually, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think the good aspect of that is that it drives me very, very hard to just stay motivated and work on what I need to work on. But at the same time, I can also have, like, I mean, in reality, if I kind of break down that day I just explained, I treated 7 patients at the clinic. I improved 7 people's lives. I go home. I improve my life by doing research and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's awesome. It's like a very productive day. But if I perceive that as not enough, that can be painful and that can leave me going to bed wishing I'd done more. And you need to celebrate yourself. And I think sometimes I don't do that enough.
I gotcha. So yeah, it's almost like it can create like a burden in a way that's just sort of there.
Yeah, very heavy burden.
Even though you're doing a lot of really good stuff, there's still that feeling of like, what if this isn't enough even?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's a real insecurity for sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, anything else that's on your mind?
That's probably the biggest thing for me now. I mean, we can go into what it was growing up for me. There's a lot of different things that I had, different stages of my life. Well, the first one that comes to mind, in actually, Jess and I were just talking about this earlier. In high school, I had an acne phase, like a lot of us.
Dude. Did you ever use Oxy?
What's that?
It's like an acne pad, like a cleansing pad.
I tried so many different things, man. I don't have no idea. But you know what? Every single one of them made it worse. Yeah. And like every time you tried another one, it got worse. I've had the same security too. If you can't tell. Well, I mean, that's such a tough one to have because you're talking about these big pus-filled sores all over your face. That's that as soon as you meet somebody, that's what they're gonna look at.
They see it, and it affects your confidence as a man.
It's ridiculous.
As a young man.
It's very hard,
dude. It was terrible. I tried this like Kate Somerville like pink thing that you would put on, and it smelled like sulfur after you put it on. And I would use it and I would dab, and like the first day I did it, it reduced the size of the pimple. Great. I thought this was amazing. I kept using it and ended up doing fucking nothing. Like 2 weeks into it. Like I went to fucking Sephora for this shit. As a young boy, I went into Sephora and I bought myself Kate Somerville and it didn't do nothing. Yeah. I went through so many different things, and then finally, do you know Wyatt?
Yeah.
Wyatt told me to check out Cetaphil, just Cetaphil cleanser. And that's all I use. And it was great. And then someone else one day told me use toner. And then I used toner after my cleanser. And it was great. And that's now all I do. Cleanse, toner, moisturize.
Yeah.
And now I don't have breakouts all the time.
Yeah. But even now, like, I think when you're especially in high school, especially as a teenage boy, your hormones are going nuts,
raging
and
raging
acne,
Cajun,
and
man.
Acne is one of the biggest things. Men who do steroids tend to get a lot of acne too, actually,
because of the hormone imbalance, and that makes sense.
Exactly. So I think it's a very tough time just altogether, and then throw in the fact that you have to, every time you look at somebody, you just know they're staring at your fucking zits on your face. Yeah. It's not like we can't see eyes. We can, if you see someone like 30 feet away, you can tell they're looking at your eyes or at the bridge of your nose.
Because of the whites.
Exactly. Yeah. It's why we have that, so we can see what people are looking at and like, what are you up to over there? Yeah. But imagine being face to face with somebody and you just see their eyes scanning around your face.
Your whole
it's
face.
like, fuck off. I just wear a balaclava all day.
Just cover up, man. Dude, I used to think that pre-workout gave me breakouts.
It might, man. If it's fucking with your hormones, it can give you acne, and that's just kind of the reality. And the thing is, though, and just kind of how we talked about how a lot of these products make it worse, which is like terrible because you buy more and you try other ones and buy more. But the reality is, honestly, if you probably just kind of like wash it with water and just be chill with it, it'll probably go away faster,
Right?
rather than like dousing your face in gasoline all day.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. Yeah, yeah. I mean, growing up, I feel like I feel as though as you grow up, we talked about the fact that you can be heavily influenced by your family and just figures around you for your perception of being a man. I think that your insecurities as a man are heavily influenced by people around you too. I know that growing up, like I was made insecure of my ears because of the size of my ears. They're fairly large, and I've grown into them, so they're not terrible anymore, and I'm not bothered by them anymore. This is another thing too, is you grow out of these insecurities a lot of the time, just by moving on, I guess, and becoming okay with yourself. But yeah, I feel like, like I mentioned, I was really insecure. I remember I went on this trip one time, just up to my family's cabin in Seychelles, and I have pictures of like me on a boat with my uncle, and we were going like crabbing, right? Like picking up like crab traps and stuff. And I had my cousin there, and I think I had one of my friends there, and my friend was more of like just more of like a boy. You know what I mean?
Like a man.
Yeah, like a
more
man
of
as
a man
boy
at that age.
But we were young. Yeah, exactly. And his dad was like a dad, you know, and he played hockey and all this stuff. And he was with me on this trip up to my cabin. We're on this boat, and I just remember feeling so uncomfortable and feeling like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing here. I don't know shit about crabs. I don't know shit about boats. Like, but my friend's loving it. Like, he's like, oh, sick. Like, we're on a boat, we're riding around. And like, I still have just like memories of that kind of shit. Just feeling insecure growing up about not being enough of like a macho person. And I think that still sometimes carries into today. I sometimes think about just the fact that still I'm not good with my hands. Still I'm not able to build something if I needed to. Still I wouldn't be able to fix my car if my car broke down. Like I'm on Google. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out what to do. That's the kind of stuff that I'm insecure about. Is it's maybe little things, but still it's there.
Yeah.
You know?
Just out of curiosity, like, can you hear more with bigger ears?
Fuck off. Dude, terrible, man.
Okay, no, but I want
the joke they use. Fuck, man.
I want to go back to something you said. You said you kind of just like moved on. I feel like let's break that down. Like,
Sure.
what do you mean you moved on? Like, what the fuck is that?
I became okay. I realized nobody gave a fuck about how big my fucking ears are.
Right. So I think that's really important to bring up. You start to realize that not everybody's thinking about you all the time.
100%.
In fact, they're thinking about themselves. And then as what's crazy is the older you get, you realize how insecure everybody else is.
Yeah.
We start talking about things. We start talking to our friends and family, whatever. And realize, wow, like everybody else has problems too. I'm not the only one in the world with problems. Who would have guessed?
You never know. I feel like, and this is just out there, that's probably why old dudes are okay walking around naked in the change room at the gym and the pool, man. Because they don't give a fuck anymore. No. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care they're walking out around here, man. Yeah.
And you know what? But also, another thing about those old dudes is like, or old. Yeah, I was always like very like, when I was a kid, as an insecure kid, I was like, what is he like?
Dude, that shit threw me off, man. I walk by, like we're at like Water Mania or whatever, and I'm walking by and all these old men are naked. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Like I didn't even want to take my shirt off. Yeah. I was like, I mean, I wasn't the kid who went in the pool with like a sweatshirt on, but I was a little
I've gone in the pool
up
with a shirt on before, man.
Wow, that's insecure.
Yeah, dude, 100%, man. And it sucked. Like I wasn't even like fat, but it was just I felt good about my body.
Were you chonky a little?
It was like thicker.
Yeah,
you know,
like rolls.
Yeah, like a little bit of like a belly roll.
Yeah,
you know
no, I had that too, and I was like, that made me really insecure for a while.
Hugely.
Oh man, that was tough. And yeah, I think we compare ourselves a lot, right? So it's like
That's what
you,
it is.
yeah, you go to the swimming pool with your class, with the, you go to grade 6 outing at the swimming pool. You do your little lessons with everybody, and there's the kids who have no fat and they're whatever, and you look at them like you want to. Why am I not like that?
Yeah.
And yeah, those things make you insecure. But again, as you get older, you realize, for one, you get over things because you start to realize that people don't care and that you become more comfortable with yourself. But two, there are things that you can actually do, right? So if you are overweight, right, like being overweight is it's tough because it must suck. It probably sucks to be obese or something like that. But at the same time, like, it's in your best interest to do what you can about that,
Right.
And that sense of control and
As much as possible, by the way. Of course, this is not discounting things like eating disorders where
no,
it's
of course not,
far
of course
beyond
not.
that. But when you are able to, if you're able to manage it.
Yeah. And well, I mean, speaking from personal experience, like, there are times in my life where I eat more than I should for a few months, or I eat just like garbage and I'll get a little fatter.
Right.
And yeah, I'm like, that will make me insecure. Like, wow, I could gain some weight. Like, this doesn't look very good. But I realize I can do something about this. I mean, I can just start eating healthy again, which I should be doing. I've always exercised a lot, but I think the food's the big one.
Right.
Food's a killer. But
food makes the biggest difference. Anyways.
My point being is when what it comes down to, I think, with any type of insecurity or problem in life is we suffer the most when we feel like we're out of control, when we don't have control of the situation.
Yeah.
So,
I can't control my fucking ears. I was looking at stapling my ears back as a kid.
Yeah.
But you can't do that shit.
Yeah. Well, it's important to also understand that, when there's something you can control, fucking fix it. Do what you just start doing something. It'll make you feel way better. Even if you don't make progress very quickly, you'll start feeling better. But for the things you can't fix, move on. Like, you're never gonna fix it. It's like, what are you going to get, ear surgery? I mean, you could, but like, that would just be ridiculous.
Yeah.
That would never solve the issue of you being insecure about something you can't control.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to touch on what you said there about using the tools. But before I touch on that, I want to just say, I feel like it really is, when we're talking about insecurities, I feel like it really is about having that comparison mind state where you're looking at other people. At least for me, it is. That's been my experience, where I'm looking at that guy who has less body fat, that guy who's lifting more than me in the gym, that guy who has the nice fucking ears, you son of a bitch.
Did you actually look at people?
No. But
like,
no, actually I did. I started looking at the fact that people's ears were flatter with their head, and then my head fucking grew into my ears and it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Do you know something interesting? My ears have changed. I think it was from rugby. I used to play.
You played rugby?
I played rugby.
Oh, wow.
Played
You're even more handsome now. Look at that.
Second row and flank. But rugby is a lot of your
position.
head being squeezed between other men's asses.
Dude, man. Where do you sign up for rugby?
I mean, anybody can play. That's the cool part about it. But so I think it
And
actually,
then they play rugby.
yeah, that's like a dressing room thing. That the asses, you do that in the dressing room and then you go play
of
rugby,
course.
whatever. Yeah,
Naturally.
no, but like you do get your ears actually squished a lot. You see like pro rugby players, they have cauliflower ears.
Yeah, dude.
Disgusting. But you know what? I think it changed my ears, but I used to have different ears.
Like different shape?
Yeah, I had
Really?
one was ear shaped.
What are they now? They look like ears to me.
Well, because now they're kind of the same. But I had one that was regular ear. The other one was like kind of like almost like a bowl, not like a bowl, but it was kind of more compressed, like a C.
Like
you
curled?
see what I'm doing? It was
Little
curled. Let me
curled in?
accentuate it so it's obvious, but it was like this. And then no one knew until I brought it up, and then they'd be like, "Oh, they are different." But I never cared for whatever reason. I had other issues, but that was. Yeah, I just want to bring that up. I had different ears at one point in my life, but rugby straightened them out.
People change, man. People change, people grow.
Yeah.
Dude, man, rugby scares the shit out of me.
Why is that?
Because they're so big. Everybody's so big,
Dude,
man.
you're big. You're a big guy.
They're bigger, dude. These
Well,
guys are huge. When you watch like the All Blacks play, oh my god,
We don't play
they're
the All
sick.
Blacks when you're in high school. You know, like it's like
You never know.
we send our high school teams to New Zealand to play the All Blacks.
Dude, man. Imagine
No, but
just get them
there
all.
was always that in rugby. There's always like that team. There's a few teams like in that few high schools that had that one player who was
They're
like
just bruisers.
Team Canada, like whatever, and just like absolute tank.
Units.
And units. You try to tackle him and he just like sticks his hand out. Get the fuck off me. He's like knees you in the face, whatever. Like, yeah, it is a brutal sport. A lot of blood in rugby.
And then you put heads and asses, and now you're
talking heads, blood, asses. It's a man's game.
Let's try. Okay. Anyways, to go back to your point earlier, you had said something where it's about using the tools. It's about using the things that you know to overcome insecurities.
Right.
That is something I want to talk about, and that's going to be kind of my last question here. How do you deal with your insecurities day to day, long term? How do you manage them? How do you cope with them?
I think that's a very personalized question because it's going to depend on the insecurity. But for me personally, yeah, I think when I talk about this a lot with a lot of people. So anybody knows me knows that I'll probably bring this up in conversation at some point. But it's a perspective thing. So, looking at my life and looking at my day, right? Again, like I did it in our conversation here already. I explained I can have a huge day and feel like I wasn't productive enough. But if I break my day down and really think about what I did, it's like, okay, I'll feel a lot better about it. So zooming out a little bit and just realizing what I actually have done and actually have accomplished and focusing on the positives in that regard helps me a lot in dealing with that specific insecurity regarding me feeling like I'm not doing enough.
Sure.
But in general, I think if I were to, almost give advice regarding insecurities, I think I would say, you have to be working on yourself and improving yourself. And those are just so cliche with Instagram, fucking carousels. We just see way 100%. Too much this kind of stuff. And
if you don't wake up better tomorrow than you were yesterday,
1% every day,
1% every day for a whole year, that's 365% better. That doesn't make any fucking sense, man.
No, it's not how math works, but it's the reality though, and it's a lot more complicated than just working on yourself. Like if somebody has a lot of problems, you say just work on yourself. Like they're not gonna. What the fuck does that mean? But you have to find something that's important enough to you that's gonna allow that's gonna transcend whatever bullshit comes your way, whatever insecurities you're dealing with, whatever problems come into your life. That you have this thing that you have latched onto, that you believe in, that can take you through those things, and just keep you motivated and just realize that you have a purpose, you have something that you are working on, that you're improving, that is going to allow you to just kind of feel better about yourself in general, but also allow insecurities to just bounce off you rather than penetrate.
Cool, man. I love it. So you take an approach then, from what I'm understanding from what you're saying, you take an approach of when you have purpose, when you have something you're working towards, when you are constantly working on something for yourself, then these insecurities don't really hit you.
Yeah.
They don't really come in. And so it's not necessarily managing an insecurity for you. It's preventing an insecurity.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, I have to almost disagree with that. I don't think you can ever really prevent an insecurity, right? Because if an insecurity comes,
maybe even before you answer that, I'll
go ahead,
reflect on my own response there. Maybe it is acknowledging the insecurity and being able to put it away easier.
Right. And deal with it, manage it better. It's not being, So rather than preventing insecurities, you can just deal with them and manage them and just be okay with them, because you have built yourself. You've created this being that you believe in, that you love and are fulfilled by, that is way bigger than whatever little insecurity happens. And as you get older, assuming you live life appropriately and you're doing this all the time, these insecurities become more and more negligible, to the point where you're naked in the swimming pool changing room.
Of course. And as you should be.
Yeah.
As you should be at that point. Yeah. I think that maybe that is a part of the maturity from the very first thing that you said, right? You start to become more and more okay with yourself, and you stop letting an insecurity just get at you, right? You start to manage it a bit better.
Yeah.
I think that's my approach of taking it. I don't know that I've ever thought of it the way that you explained at the beginning, of looking at it as a sense of maturity, being a man, and using that to maybe lead into managing insecurities. For me, I look at it as a problem. If I can identify the problem of an insecurity now, I mean, before, when I was a kid, don't get me wrong, again, this shit did piss me off. These did piss me off as a kid, and that wasn't something that I knew a solution to. But now when I have an insecurity, whether that was my weight, so I've been going to the gym consistently for the last few months here. I've been going about 6 times a week. I'm eating better. I'm doing meal prep, all that shit. I identified the problem, which was that I wasn't happy with how I looked and how I felt because of my weight. And I thought, I can change this, and I know the steps to do to address that. So I look at insecurities as a means of problem solving. The way I manage them, rather, as a means of problem solving. So let's say I really one day felt insecure about fixing the car. You know what I mean? Like, actually right now, my windshield wipers are pissing me off, man. They're doing the whole like skidding.
You need new windshield wipers.
I don't need new windshield wipers. I can fix them because I wiped them down one time and that made it better. But I think I need to wipe them just better. I need to do a better job of cleaning them, and I got to clean the windshield a little bit better, and then it's going to stop skipping.
I think you're putting.
And if it doesn't work, then I'll get new windshield wipers.
I honestly think you're putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound.
You don't know my windshield wipers, man. You don't know.
I'm a man. I know cars.
See, this is the thing. And if I could like learn to address these things, if I can see it as a problem where I can find a solution, where I can identify the tools to correct that, then it less becomes an insecurity. It starts to become a challenge. It starts to become like, shit, I could take this on. You know what I mean?
And you equip yourself.
And I think same thing goes. I'll use this podcast as an example. I had some insecurities about how this is going to turn out, how this is going to look, but I knew I had resources. I knew I had you. I knew I had Jesse. I knew I had friends who would be able to give me good feedback and tell me, is this a stupid fucking idea or is this a decent idea? And reaching out to those people allowed me to overcome the insecurity of, I don't know if this is going to end up being what I want it to be, right? And so now I'm just happy to be doing this. So I look at problem solving, or I look at insecurities rather, as a problem to be solved.
Yeah.
Something to address.
I think if you break that down a little, that's actually very profound in a sense, because what you're doing, I mean, you explained it as problem solving and identifying the problem, but really what that is, you know, looking at yourself in the mirror figuratively, and which is very painful. It's a very painful thing to do, to look at your problem and analyze it, because it means you have to face it. You have to face the dark side of you and look at yourself right in the eyes and be okay with reality.
Yeah, and decide, can I change it?
Right. Well, you can. Like it's whether it's literally change it through action or change it through a way of thinking, you can change it. If it's an insecurity or a problem, there's always something you can do about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a powerful realization if you can get to that point. And I'm not saying that I'm at that point where every insecurity that comes in, I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'm sure there's going to be new shit that comes up. There's insecurities that I'm aware of that I have yet to address. For example, and I'm going to get into this in another episode, so I'm not going to talk about it right now. The idea of fatherhood, to me, because of me not having a father, that's an insecurity. I don't know how I'm going to act as a father because I haven't seen one myself. I haven't had one growing up. So when that bridge comes one day, I'm going to have to cross it without a fucking map. I'm going to have to go through this shit, and I'm going to have to figure this out on my own.
Have you ever talked to a soon-to-be parent?
No, I've talked to parents, like new parents, but not a soon-to-be parent.
Have you ever met somebody who's like, yeah, I knew exactly what I was doing going into it?
That's true. No
one does.
Not.
Because the reason being is there's nothing that emulates parenthood.
Right.
I mean, I think getting a dog is probably the closest thing you can, or taking care of another child. But even then, when it's taking care of another child, you're not assuming full responsibility.
Yeah.
But and a dog is a lot easier than a baby. But there's nothing.
One would hope.
There's nothing you can truly do to prepare. So that's a very tough thing to be insecure about, because you may never get to, like, even if you get to a point where you're like, I'm good to go, you're probably way the fuck off.
Yeah.
Because nobody can prepare for that kind of thing.
I feel like this goes to your point earlier. You had said that you identify things from your parent, and you can say, I'm not my parents and I'm going to become what I'm going to be. I think that goes for parenting as well, right? You can take things away from your parents that worked. Like my mom, every great thing that she did as a parent, I'm going to try and emulate that for my kids one day. But at the same time, you're just trying it on your own. So I get that. Yeah. I think this is maybe an okay place to stop. I think this was a really good conversation.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's been awesome. Yeah,
I'm really happy.
I feel like we probably could go on for another 3 hours.
For sure. Some of the feedback, to sort of just speak on why I'm going to choose to stop here, was that the last episode was a bit long, and I agree. So we're going to try and keep it a little bit shorter this time. And then, this leaves more topic for conversation another time. Could have you back, and we could get into.
Can I come back?
Absolutely, you could come back.
Can we talk about facts?
Yeah, we can
and
talk about facts.
information. That's
we
my
can do a research episode.
research episode.
I'll look shit up. I'll
my
do
happy
whatever I gotta
zone.
do.
That's my happy zone.
That's your comfort zone.
Yeah, dude, I love that
Well, you were very
stuff.
comfortable with that, so I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate it if you've made it this far. I love you. I don't know you, but I love you. Really, really appreciate you checking out the video. Again, I wanted to mention, I put this in the description of the last video, but there are going to be audio versions of this available after the 3rd episode. And so going forward after that, you could either watch it or listen to it or both. It's up to you. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. And I hope that something that you can take away from today's episode between Joe and I's conversation is an understanding that insecurities are definitely present for men. Like, this shit is on our minds, I would say, on a day-to-day basis to some extent. And we deal with it. We deal with it in whatever way we can, whether that's being a man, and to each person that's going to be a different thing, or we find our own methods of addressing insecurities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think ideally, we want to be in a position where we can deal with whatever comes our way. I think that's true maturity. Yeah. So whatever you need to get there, that's going to be different from person to person, but that's what I'd say.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you everybody for watching. We're going to be having another episode. I'm going to try and keep this going weekly. I'm not going to promise anything, but I'm going to try and keep this going weekly. And I'm really excited for the episodes to come. I have a bunch of stuff planned, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Good guests, good people. And thank you again, Joe, for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been super, super fun. I wish we could go on for longer, but that's okay.
Next time.
We'll have another one.
Next time.
That's okay.
Anyways, thank you, everybody. One more time. I've said it a million times now. Anyways, I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.
Ruben says thank you.
Ruben says thank you. Peace.